Hi, Isaiah. How are you?
Good, good. How's it going today, John?
It's going well. Where are you at the moment?
Right now in LA. I'm actually based out in Los Angeles, California.
All right. Okay, cool. So it's great to have you.
Mhm.
It's been a while since we last talked. I think a couple of years. So we're going to
Yep.
get into what you're working on. But we
Mhm.
can start with a sort of history of your own background in the blockchain and cryptocurrency space.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I started in 2013, which is almost 7 years now, which is crazy to think about. But I got into it. I had a roommate who just kind of mentioned Bitcoin to me because I was in the tech space. He was in the banking industry. He didn't really understand it. He just kind of threw it out there, and I did more research on my own. Found people like Max Kaiser talking about Bitcoin, and found some other people, the Winklevoss twins, talking about Bitcoin and blockchain technology. And my first entryway into it was purchasing cryptocurrency or purchasing Bitcoin. And then, of course, my background in tech, coding and building applications from there and trading as well. So, yes, that is, a short synopsis of how I got into it. But 2013 is when it started.
All right. And what has been your experience through that journey? Because you're in the
Mhm.
space for quite a long time, basically almost since the beginning. So could you give
Mhm.
us maybe just a snapshot of your own journey, and how you ended up sort of writing a book about Bitcoin and Black America?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, I began consulting in 2015 and helping others get into Bitcoin, giving away free Bitcoin and doing consultations, building websites with Bitcoin payments available. And what I realized was it was inefficient. I was basically helping a lot of Black people get into Bitcoin, but it was like one at a time or 10 at a time. So I realized, throughout my journey of consulting, then having the show, Gentlemen of Crypto, I'm co-host with my co-host King, through my journey, what got me to the book was, hey, it would be more efficient to write an entire piece where everybody can read it at any time and have the same information that I use to consult people anyway. So that's sort of how that came along, and that's my journey to get to that point. So consulting in the space, and then as far as trading and moving forward to the show, that is how I came to the book. Which, once again, the book is Bitcoin in Black America, available on Amazon. If you're going to go get your copy today.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. How many pages is it?
180.
180. Because I also wrote a book on the African blockchain opportunity. It was more
Mm-hmm.
of report style, about 130 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And it is probably the toughest or probably hardest thing I've ever done. Because
Yeah.
I kept writing it, then things kept changing. So I had to keep revising it.
Mm-hmm.
I revised it
Oh,
like 10 times before I actually decided
mhm.
this is too much, let me just release it. So what was your experience like? I mean, writing a book is not it's not an easy thing.
Absolutely. And I would agree with you there. This has probably been the hardest thing I've done in my life.
Yeah,
But it's the most rewarding simply because once you finish, you remember thinking those nights where you're sitting there staring at a blank screen or can't have any ideas come. I remember all those times. Like it took me about 11 months, 12 months, a year to write it. The first 6 months were horrible. It's my first book. I didn't really know the direction. And like you said, I kept revising it, stopping and revising, stopping and revising. And then something changes every day. You're right.
yeah,
It's literally in the blockchain space. There were paragraphs I had written, I had to get rid of
yeah,
the week later because I would, try to explain something, or I would add stuff in. I would hear about new companies.
yeah.
So that was the biggest challenge with updating it, but also getting out of my own way. Like you said, after you revised it 10 times, and you were like, let me just put it out. That's sort of how it was. I had a date I wanted to put it out, July 11th, which I ended up doing. But I had to get out my own way as well because coming down to the last week of June, I was still revising. I was still like, all right, let me just make sure. And I was like, you know what? Let me put out what I have. The people will love it. It has enough information. Whatever's missing, I'll put into a presentation and I'll do a webinar or whatnot. But yeah, this is definitely the hardest thing I've done, but very rewarding.
Yeah. What inspired you to go through all that pain of sort of giving birth to, a book? What inspired you?
Well, the challenge. I love a challenge. Sort of the same reason I got into Bitcoin. It was a challenge coming from where I came from in Charlotte, North Carolina. third biggest banking industry in America. So that was just a challenge in itself, talking about Bitcoin in that area. So with the book, there's never been written before as far as Black Americans per se, and the impact of Bitcoin and blockchain technology. So it was a challenge, and I love challenges. Took the challenge and succeeded to this point. So that's really what made me go through the pain, because I realized on the other side of that is a lot of pleasure. So yeah, definitely would. I don't know if I would do it again right now, but it was a good experience for the last year.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So without giving away too much, could you give us maybe some brief highlights or some snippets from the book? Because we want people to buy it, so
Absolutely.
let's give them a small teaser. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So in the beginning, I talked about my story, and you can learn about how I got hacked. You can learn about some of the troubles I had with family members, some of the quote unquote scammers that were out there. We were trying to solve that issue. So it tells my story from the beginning all the way up until now. Everybody in Bitcoin is not, a huge, genius, physicist, mathematician. These are everyday people that you can get into and start. So it starts off with my story. It gets into what Bitcoin is, how it can be used, how it benefits you. It talks about things some people may not know already. For example, Bitcoin ATMs are very popular, which, a lot of people are starting to ask about that. That's in the book as well. Of course, blockchain technology with Walmart and Libra, and with Facebook's cryptocurrency, how that will impact. So it goes into how Bitcoin is used. But one of the good things is it's mostly solution-based. After those first two chapters, everything else is solutions to a problem. So we have education is a problem. College students, high school students need to hear about it. And, I believe the Black Blockchain Summit does a good job of using college students to help out, because that is the future. So it talks about education. It goes into the Black church. It talks about how our Black churches should be accepting Bitcoin. It goes into international relations. Like at the conference, we'll have people from Uganda, from Zimbabwe. So that is definitely a subject I wanted to touch on, remittances. So it goes into pretty much every type of solution that Bitcoin can solve in the Black community. And my favorite personal chapter called Buck the Fanks. You can kind of figure out what that means, but it basically describes the historical racism of banks against Black people and why we shouldn't care. That's a brief synopsis of the book in whole. And like I said, I'm sure people will get some solutions out of it, and can't wait to discuss more at the Black Blockchain Summit as well.
Awesome. So you've written a book, and you've talked about the different aspects that you would cover. One of our sort of things that agendas we're talking about at the Black Blockchain Summit is the Free Ross campaign, and we have a keynote speaker, the mother to Ross Albright. She's called Lynn Albright. She'll be giving a keynote about sort of her experience and the experience of her son in terms of sort of the punitive sentence he got from the U.S. government. You were there in 2013. What was that period like, Silk Road, and what are your thoughts in terms of what happened to Ross Albright and what it?
Well, in 2013, Silk Road. Yeah, I remember Silk Road when I first started, and Mt. Gox were the two biggest names out there. And we actually had Lynn Albright for an interview we did at World CryptoCon, as well as on our show, The Gentleman of Crypto. So we're pretty, well versed in the Ross Albright case. And one of the things I remember back then was Silk Road was what people were using as a scapegoat to basically say, hey, this is why Bitcoin is wrong. You see these people Silk Road selling drugs and this and that. And then when you look more into it, which I did back then, you would see that most of the traffic on the website had nothing to do with drugs, whatever. And he just built a website. Other people used it for whatever. And because Bitcoin was a part of it, it became, the scapegoat, of course. But yes, I love the fact that Lynn Albright is out here getting the word out. I've signed a petition. I hope others have it too, to try and get Ross out of the life sentence that he got for, building a website. And I really think it's going to come to fruition as soon as we get some politicians that agree with Bitcoin, like we're starting to see now in the Senate, and they see how it's used. I think we'll get some traction there. But I love the fact, like I said, Lynn is going to be there. I can't wait to see her. And I think from my experience, the Silk Road thing got the Bitcoin community a lot of everything public is good, really. Anything that comes out about Bitcoin allows people to research for themselves. And I think Free Ross is a great campaign to have as well.
Awesome. So the other sort of big theme for the summit is reparations and revolutions. And could you sort of, is that an issue that you addressed in your book, first of all? And what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on it?
Oh yeah. From a reparations standpoint, I believe we are owed the things that were stolen from us before. The only problem with it is that we keep asking people to give it back to us. That's not going to work. There's two solutions, in my opinion, if you want reparations. You're either going to have to arm yourselves and start shooting at people, which I don't think most people want to do, or you're going to have to basically change your money system and take money away from the oppressors and have them basically give it back to you. Give yourself reparations with Bitcoin. And I do discuss that to an extent. I discuss more about Bitcoin being we'll funnel their money to in the future, so that if we're already in place, if we have that digital real estate, we'll basically give ourselves reparations. And I think Bitcoin and blockchain does a great job of explaining how a free and open money system actually gives you the value you're worth. And we know how much our community is worth. We set a lot of the trends. We build a lot of the great campaigns for a lot of these companies. As soon as the money system frees up, we're fine. The reparations aspect of it will come. So I know in my family, we've given ourselves reparations with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Not really one of those people to ask our governments to give it back to us. That's not going to happen. So you got to take it. And if you're not going to go out and start shooting people, then you need to protest by switching the money that you use or the system that you use.
Yeah, so switching the money, the biggest threat to what you're talking about is, number one, hacking, and number two, scams. I think you could probably interchange them in reverse order. So how do we sort of mitigate against those two huge risks that particularly affect the Black community, whether it's in Africa or whether it's in America? We all, have gone through these experiences with the Ponzi schemes and the multi-level schemes and such things.
Oh yeah, education. We need as much education about subjects as we can get. That's why personally, I have dozens of tutorials on our YouTube channel. We do a daily show so that every day we can give people information. And as far as hacking, I've had a hack attempt on me before. And like I said, you can read about it in the book. It is sort of a surreal, thing when it happens. Luckily, I didn't personally lose any Bitcoin or crypto from it, but it is something that you need to know about security-wise, and that takes education. Hacking, same thing with scams. Being able to look at somebody's website when they tell you, we promise 20% back, or you need to be able to see those red flags instantly. Some people can't pick it up because they don't know anything about Bitcoin. They don't, have any education. So they run to the first thing that looks good or that can make the money, which usually is a scam. Nothing's guaranteed. So yes, I think we need more education, continue, conferences like Blockchain Summit, webinars by people who are knowledgeable. And I think we'll solve that problem. It just takes some time.
All right. Awesome. So I think we've gotten, I was going to ask you to give a teaser about your talk, but I think you've really laid out sort of the broad scope of your book and what your experiences that you've had. I think another opportunity which I'm personally involved in, as well as my company BitHub Africa, is the startup space, trying to innovate on top of blockchain. What do you think about Bitcoin, altcoins, and these sort of cryptocurrency blockchain platforms as protocols that we can build solutions on top of? Is that an area that you look at actively?
Definitely. Actually, the last chapter of the book is called Blockchain, which is a project I'm working on now to get startup businesses money for their startups, because we are not, as a community, devoid of ideas. We have plenty of ideas. We need money. And one of the ways to get funding easier is through cryptocurrency, of course. And that's what we're looking at doing. So I have seen projects that have succeeded. The problem is there's so many of them. People think, just run towards every one. But the ones that have succeeded, well, we've seen Binance become $1 billion company or $1 billion, exchange using their own coin because they had a good use case. You get 50% off fees. Hey, use our coin. So even if it's not Bitcoin, there are certain use cases. The Brave token. The Brave token has been used perfectly with our YouTube. I mean, every month you get paid in Brave rewards just for people watching you. So, and it pays more than YouTube. So these coins, these use cases are there. It just takes time for it to build out. And Bitcoin really is the reserve right now. It's 70% dominance, I believe, in the market. I think it'll be that and more because a lot of these altcoins will go away. But the projects that do work, like you said, building on the blockchain, will be very valuable. And if you allow the space to move the way it's supposed to, where we start getting into STOs, we start getting into fundraisers, like you said, for startups, we can have 24 hours to raise money, boom, and keep it moving. You know what I mean? Instead of these long, drawn out 6-month periods of getting money from wherever. So yes, I definitely agree. Startup on the blockchain or use it to their advantage will be at an advantage in the future.
Awesome. Yeah, because at BitUp, we have a distributed energy platform that we're building on Bitcoin. And nice. We have, like you just said, a token for rewarding our engineers. That's sort of auxiliary chain on Bitcoin. So we are building on top of Bitcoin as a core platform for transactions in and out. It's called Melanin Solar.
Nice. So I'm definitely gonna check it out when I see it.
Yeah. So that's one of the challenges we have in Africa. The main challenge is lack of access to sustainable and regular energy. So I think identifying these use cases is so important, and coming up with a sort of a blockchain. At the Black Blockchain Summit, we're going to come up with something we call a black paper that I think will borrow very heavily from your work and the blockchain. And we have in that black paper all these concepts that sort of direct people in the right way so that we can finally start having those STOs and serious companies being built. And all it takes is about 2, 3, 4 companies that are black owned to really change the whole dynamic for all of us. To become the Googles of the future. So I'm really excited about sort of your leadership in that space. So I think we'll take this minute sort of to talk about anything else that you think I may have left off, maybe something that you'd like us to discuss at the summit. Basically, your thoughts on any issues that are really burning in terms of what you see.
Well, the number one thing, like you said, with building a blockchain and the black paper, education-wise, whenever I do speak at the conference, one of the biggest things I will make sure I put out there is the education portion. Since we're on a college campus, I really want Howard to have a Bitcoin curriculum by that time next year. That's sort of my goal, my personal goal, other than selling books and book signing, is to have Howard have a Bitcoin curriculum, literally just Bitcoin. Thing I want to make sure if you're at the conference, if you show up, I will be harping on that, as well as the directory in the back of the book. It has about 40 people in there. I want to add to that directory. So any people that show up at Black Blockchain Summit that work in the space, I want to put that directory out on the website so that people have access to people with the answers that I may not have or you may not have. Because like I said, I have about 40 people in there, people that I met in the space and the Hoover app that we used last year. So
awesome.
If you're there, I want to add to that directory, put it on BitcoinBlackAmerica.com so that everybody can see it, everybody can basically see the different aspects that they need. Maybe a lawyer, maybe an accountant, things of that nature. So, and as far as what I have to speak about, like I said,
All right, all right. I think my video at the end has sort of frozen up. So yeah, you're back. So
it froze a little bit.
yeah. So I think at this point I would really like to thank you for having this call with us. I definitely look forward to your talk. I think your talk should be on Monday. It's the closing
Monday.
keynote at around
Yep.
5:50 p.m. So everybody do get your tickets. It's not too late. We'll share the links for the Black Blockchain Summit website and ticket purchase site, and also the links to Isaiah's projects. We need to make sure that everybody gets a copy of the book and also continues to follow his platform. So thank you so much, Isaiah, and we'll see you soon at the summit. Bye bye. Kwaheri.
All right. Have a good one, my brother. Yes, sir.